We are here with Mary Ann Shearer, a precious friend and someone that I met 20 years and 1 month ago, actually.
Really?
Yep, in September 2000. Mary Ann is founder of a program called The Natural Way, Perfect Health, The Natural Way, which is something that totally changed my life as a woman and as a mom and as a wife years ago. And I have been not always on track with it because it's all about strong, healthy, vitality lifestyles in terms of living a natural way life instead of living a chemical, caffeine-laden, over-supplemented way of life. And so I jumped in and I asked Mary Ann if she would give us some time today, and she very kindly is letting me ask her a few questions because I work with a lot of women who, obviously, we all go through, whether it's menopause or new motherhood or sleepless nights, or at some point in our lives we have had some health challenges, whether it's ongoing weight fluctuation, whether it's sleepless nights through being a new mom, whether it's an actual physical health related serious or semi-serious issue. I have not come across anybody else who is, as my husband calls Mary Ann, the gold standard on understanding our bodies. Now with Linda Page we have a massive movement called I Love My Body, and if you're someone who has struggled with your weight, like about 80-something% of women have your whole life, then to love your body begins on the inside, and beauty is an inside job. And I know nobody better than Mary Ann to ask some of the most common questions that come up with my clients, my friends and families, and my co-workers as well, but also to ask her just to give you some basics rather than focusing on the weight we have to lose and the changes we have to make and the hardships we have to go through. Is what positive things can we add to our lives that will make it fresher, easier, and better and more fun? And she's going to answer those questions for us. So what we're doing here today is a simple, relaxed chat in her home and having a little Q&A. And regardless of your age, regardless of your size, regardless of your status quo, your consequences of life right now, or anything you're facing in the future, there is always a better way. And one of those is what we tell ourselves in our mind and what we do with our bodies. And the whole point is to get up, dress up, and be a bold light on a hill. And if beauty starts on the inside, Mary Ann is the gold standard. So thank you again for your time. I'm just going to shoot with some basic questions.
Go for it.
And you want to make sure you've got pen and paper. You want to make sure that you have switched off all interruptions. And if you haven't, you want to hit pause right now and go make sure that you have time and attention to take notes, because as author, founder of The Natural Way, as a restaurateur, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a speaker on international stages, including having been invited by Oprah Winfrey and other incredible leaders in our world, Mary Ann is a powerhouse who lives in South Africa. This woman can run circles around all of us, and I mean physically and mentally as well. So we're just going to dive in. All right. So the common questions that come my way, and I'm not a nutrition or a health expert, as you know. I have other strengths. But you've impacted my life, my baby's lives, my kids' lives, my husband's life for 20 years now. So one of the most common conversations that comes up is the whole protein debate. Man must eat meat, and we must eat meat on at least 3 or 4 times a week to get the protein and to be strong and healthy. So can you tell us a bit about the protein debate?
I can, and here's the thing. Eating flesh to make flesh in a human is the best argument for cannibalism. Because if we eat pig flesh, we're not pigs. We're not horses, we're not cows, we're not chickens, we're not fish. So surely the best flesh to eat would be human flesh to make human flesh.
Okay.
And people don't think about it like that because they don't understand that protein is, firstly, the human body uses over 100,000 different types of protein. We make our own protein from amino acids. Yeah. We don't need to eat flesh to make protein, because whatever flesh you eat, the body's got to undo it. Even if you actually ate human flesh, the body has to undo it into separate amino acids. Now, the easy way to think about this is amino acids are like letters of the alphabet. Now, if you take the 26 letters of the alphabet and you string them together, you can make hundreds and thousands of words. It's about 500,000 words that are in our English vocabulary. Most people use 3 to 10,000 of those words. But as if you think of it, the amino acids are like letters of the alphabet. So the body has to undo the letters of the pig flesh or the cow flesh or the chicken flesh coming in. It's like undoing the letters of Russian. You don't understand it, and you've got to relink them all up and convert it into English so that we can understand it. Same thing, you've got to undo it, then you've got all these amino acids, and then you've got to do it. The other thing is that we cook protein, and the reason we cook animal protein is because there are parasites in it. If we ate it raw, we'd probably die of the parasites within the first 10 years of our life, so we cook it. And when we cook it, it coagulates. An easy way to understand that is to look at an egg white. An egg white, when you break the egg open, you're able to mix it with water and fluff it up.
Right.
And if you make an omelette, for example, a mousse type of thing, or a souffle, you would fluff it up. So what you do is, that's water soluble. It can mix with water. But if you cook the egg white goes hard, and you can no longer mix it in with water. So it's no longer water soluble. So cooked protein is very difficult for us to digest and use in our body. It's a lot of strain on our kidneys and our digestive tract. We're actually better off with raw protein. That's our best way to get it into the body, because then we don't have this coagulated, not water-soluble protein. We also it's best for us to get our amino acids in a form that's not linked together to form some other kind of flesh. And the best source of that is from raw nuts and seeds. So if you ate almonds, for example, contains the same amount of protein as a chicken and meat. If you ate cashew nuts, it contains about the same amount of protein as you would find in fish, and in some chicken as well. So the range of protein from most nuts and seeds is somewhere between 15 and 30%. Pumpkin seeds are the top of that list. They contain up to 30% protein, which is the same as rump steak. But you can eat pumpkin seeds raw, which means you get full use of it.
Right.
Now you cook the rump steak, the protein coagulates. You're lucky if you can use 5 to 10% of that protein. So 5 to 10% of 30 grams, let's take it at the most, you're going to get 3 grams of protein. 100% from a raw source like pumpkin seeds, 80 to 100%, let's say worst case scenario, you're only getting 80%, you'll probably get about 25 grams of protein. So eating the pumpkin seeds, you're getting 25 grams of protein from a 30 gram portion of protein, and eating the meat, you're getting a 3%, you're getting 3 grams. So what actually happens is when you get protein from animal products, you need to eat it 3 times a day, because you're cooking it and it's difficult to digest, difficult to get the nutrients out. But if you're getting your protein from nuts and seeds, you have 1 small handful a day, and that's all you need. And children grow.
Doesn't almost every fruit also contain protein?
Oh yeah, every single fruit and vegetable contains amino acids, but nuts and seeds are highly concentrated.
Right.
So if you were just looking at one particular source, whereas there's no fruit or no vegetable that doesn't contain amino acids, those building blocks of protein. So over and above your nuts and seeds, if you're eating legumes which are a bit cooked, you're still getting more protein than you're eating. And that's why you actually end up eating less on a healthy plant-based diet compared to a diet that incorporates animal protein. But if you really feel that you need to eat animal protein, then make sure you're getting it from a source that's completely organic, not free range. Free range is just actually a joke, because they'll still inject the chickens to make their egg yolks yellow with a substance called canthaxanthin that causes severe liver damage to us. They're still giving the chicken hormones, and they're giving them antibiotics to stop infections, but it also speeds up the growth of the chicken. So you end up with all these antibiotics and hormones in animals, whereas if you're eating at least an organic source, and the best organic source would be genuinely free range, not walking around on a farmer's yard, walking around in the wild. So take your gun, go out there and shoot a buck, take it home, slaughter it, cut it up, put it in portions, and make sure you don't eat a portion bigger than that every second day. The size of the palm of your hand every second day. And that will keep your intake of animal protein below 5 to 10% of your calorie value, which means you're not likely then to get cancer. Because the thing that triggers cancer is too much, it's from animal protein. You can fill the gun, Dr. Colin Campbell of the China study says, you can fill the gun with stress and pollution and preservatives and additives and all kinds of heated fats, but the thing that pulls the trigger is when your animal protein content goes over between 5 to 10% of your calorie value.
Okay, so that's huge. I mean, that is massive. And if you didn't catch that it's Dr. Colin T. Campbell, right? He's the author of the China study, probably the most comprehensive study ever done on protein on planet Earth. Highly, highly encourage you to read that book. It is phenomenal. It's the Bible on it, right? I read some of it. Honest, I didn't get through all of it because I had read Marianne's book first. I went there, then I went back, and this is Marianne's book, Perfect Health, The Natural Way, is such a phenomenal summary of that. But if you really want to up your knowledge, especially if you are a specialist in the healthcare business or the fitness industry, you want to go and read Dr. Colin T. Campbell's The China Study. So what Marianne is not saying is don't eat meat now, you have to become a vegan, okay? So before all your meat eaters kind of send me messages, and before all the vegans say, get on your high horse, because some vegans are on their high horse and they don't eat meat because they're awfully in vogue, and that's also nonsense. It's because we are designed for a mainly a plant-based diet. But if you want to have your meat, if you like it, so it's 10% of your diet, right?
It's 5 to 10% of the calorie value, which is very little. Okay. And fish would be a better source.
Okay.
Fish caught in the deep sea, that's the better source of animal protein if you're going to eat it. I wouldn't eat that raw because of the parasites in it. It's one of the reasons you need to do a parasite cleanse if you're eating sushi on a regular basis, because it's raw fish. But I would say cooked fish, and maybe some eggs from organic source.
Okay.
The last type of protein that I would put into my body, and I would discourage anybody from doing it, is dairy products.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it's now indicated. In fact, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is now suing the American government because they've been sending them all the research studies showing that the number one cause of breast cancer in women and prostate cancer in men is dairy products. And that's cheese, yogurt, and milk.
So that foundation that you mentioned, what is it called? The
Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They're
which
in Washington, D.C.
Which you were invited to be a
I'm a member of them. I've done training with them. I'm the only Education Alliance partner in Africa.
Right.
At this point in time. So
where can they go and check out that foundation?
PCRM.org.
PCRM.org. And these guys are suing the American government.
Yes.
Because
they have been sending the research to them for decades now, showing that it's the number one cause of breast cancer, specifically with women. And they've been around since 1985. They sued the government in 2009 and won the case because the government was not changing the dietary recommendation. They had that food pyramid. And they kept saying you can't do the food pyramid. The studies show that the focus needs to be on plant food. So they gave them the power plate. They showed how it was worked out scientifically, that you divide it in quarters. A quarter is fruit, a quarter is vegetables, a quarter is whole grains, and a quarter is legumes. The government said, okay, but we want to make the legumes to say protein because we don't want to force people to be vegetarian or vegan. And for the first time in the history of the United States dietary recommendations, dairy products is not included as essential food. They've put a circle on the outside, and they're saying optional.
That's huge.
And that is huge. So they won that case. It was from 2009 to 2013, if I remember correctly. They won the case. Now they're suing them on the dairy issue.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, Dr. Colin Campbell that you mentioned in his book, The China Study, he said we're going to get to a place because of the studies that are out there where the man in the street is going to be suing the dairy industry. Just like people have been suing the cigarette industry because they've had the warnings, they've been told this is the science, the studies are there, and they've ignored this because of financial issues. It's about money.
Of course, it's huge. So I hope you caught that, okay? So what Marianne is saying kind of takes everything in life and summarizes down to this. We cannot rely on our government to raise our kids, right? We cannot rely on our government to teach us how to eat. We cannot rely on our government. They do the best that they can do, okay? This is not a political message. I do not waste my time on that. I'm not about to try and change anybody's opinion on politics. I don't do that. But we know we cannot outsource our health, our faith to our pastors or our anything.
It's our responsibility.
It's our responsibility.
Absolutely.
Which means that we have to invest the time, money, and effort. Those three things are non-negotiables: time, money, and effort in buying a book, doing a course, and educating ourselves on our bodies, what we were designed for, especially if you are a man or a woman of faith and you go to the scriptures. It's all there in Genesis about how we were designed vegan, and only after, this is interesting, only after Noah's Ark landed on Mount Ararat, was meat introduced, and then only a little bit. But that's another conversation for another time. This is really, really important, is that when you... So governments are being sued because governments are backed by the sugar, the meat, and the dairy industries that pay for the research studies that confirm and prove that these things are right. But they've been causing illness and health and cancer and heart disease and diabetes for so long. Now that's a huge accomplishment, that dairy on the outside of the...
It's huge.
It's massive.
Huge. They've never done... Look, we were not, before the 1900s, we were not a community that consumed milk. We really weren't.
Yeah.
It wasn't something... Milk was only consumed when there was a shortage of food. And there would be goat's milk. It was never cow's milk. So if there was a drought and there were floods and there was no food, it would be something like goat's milk. They're easier to keep, they're smaller, and their body weight and size is more similar to us as humans. I mean, if we crawled around on our hands and knees, we'd be the size of a goat, not a cow. It's one of the reasons why we have these big problems with weight issues and obesity, is because cow's milk, the protein and calcium structure is designed to make this enormous big cow that weighs a ton, you know.
Yeah.
So we end up with these serious problems. The hormones in cow's milk causes huge problems in our endocrine system, which is the hormonal system. So,
and even basic, I want to stop you for a minute,
Yeah.
even basic things like giving our little ones, let's say you can't breastfeed, like I couldn't breastfeed either of my children, sadly, and thanks to Marianne, I didn't go to cow's milk because I knew. So, but a lot of women go there even knowing. I mean, for the first month, I got to say, I felt like, man, we did that formula for a month, and instantly my son, who was a baby, I went to cow's milk for a month, and instantly the phlegm built up, ear, nose, throat issues, all the snot running out, which our kids were not designed to do, running around with snot out their nose and in their mouths. It's just not pretty, and it's not healthy, it's not tasty, I'm sure. And that's how kids and babies and toddlers are running around and developing ear, nose, throat because of milk. So because of Miriam and what I'd learned through her, and I did a course years ago, in fact, when I met her, I'm like, everything she said was like, it's not possible. It flies in the face of everything that I was taught, and everything, not that I had any particular health training, but that I believed was true. So
you were just brainwashed, weren't
totally
you?
brainwashed.
Yeah.
So I took her course, to be honest, to prove her wrong. I'm like, that is impossible. Okay, that was just real ego attitude on my half 20 years ago. But hey, so I did her course. I got the books. In those days, I got the tapes. I got everything, and I tested it on myself. And that's when my life changed in September and in October 2000. And I'm so grateful to have done that before I became a mom, because I avoided all the typical things out there. So because I couldn't breastfeed, Marianne led me to goat's milk with a teeny tiny bit of plant-based, the body plant, we'll get to that later, and a bit of flax oil, and my kids just lapped it up. By the way, I only learned a couple of years ago from you that people who have lots of teeth issues, like I have my whole life, typically would not breastfeed, right?
Yeah, typically not breastfed given cow's milk. We now know that cow's milk doesn't prevent dental decay.
Breaks down.
It doesn't prevent osteoporosis or brittle bone disease. In fact, what happens is, although it's high in calcium, it's much higher in phosphorus. And phosphorus binds calcium. You just can't use it. So the more cow's milk you have, they actually have done the studies and show that there's a net loss of calcium from the body via the kidneys, trying to balance this effect, because there's too much phosphorus coming in, and the body actually ends up pulling calcium out of the bones to neutralize the effect of the phosphorus, because it's so acidic in the body. And if too many of the acid minerals come into the body, that has an effect on the pH in the blood. It affects immediately. Your body can go into acidosis and die. And the only way the body can correct this is take the calcium out of the blood, then it takes it out of the bones and the teeth. And so the real reason we have dental decay is because we've been following an acid-forming diet. And one of the big factors is that calcium is extremely acid-forming in the body because of those high levels of phosphorus. So, the very opposite of what we've always said. Drink your milk, it's strong for your teeth, it helps your teeth, it makes you grow.
Nonsense.
My youngest daughter is like 1.8 meters tall. She's never drunk a glass of milk in her life. And right throughout school, she was they tried to brainwash her and say, Meredith, you need to drink milk because that's what, we taught. She'd teach the class, everybody needs to drink milk because they won't grow. And she'd put her hand up and she'd say, Ma'am, I've never drunk milk in my life, and I'm the tallest kid in the class.
I love it.
She's super strong as well. I mean, she did some Muay Thai, and the guy doing the training wanted her to travel around the world because he says he'd never seen such a strong person.
Fantastic.
And this is a girl who grew up on a basically vegetarian diet with no cow's milk in it.
Yeah.
She occasionally ate cheese. She was a bit of a cheese lover as she was growing up. She discovered cheese somewhere along the way.
But your body will handle that.
Well, in small quantities occasionally. But she would find if she overindulged, all the mucus would come.
Yeah.
And the sinus problems and the ear infections and the tonsillitis, all those things would happen to either one of my children. So
yeah, I learned that from you years ago. And every now and again, about twice a year, I like to have some cheese and wine and some cheese and port and grapes. And we did that a couple of weeks ago. And my little girl, who's 6 going on 7, she had a little bit of cheese. And the next morning she came to me and she's like, Mom, this phlegm, it's not worth the cheese, because she knows where it comes from. So I'm like, my girl, me too. So for the next 3 days, all you get is this thing, all the time. And she's not happy about it. So it's awesome that she has that knowledge. So, okay, so have the meat if you need to eat the meat. And every now and again, I have a piece of chicken, and seldom, but
organic.
Palm size, organic, free range means nothing. And every second day, so 5 to 10% of the calorie intake of your diet, you're saying, okay, and enjoy it. Don't feel like you can't have it, but understand you don't need it to be strong.
You're having it as a treat. There's no reason for you to eat it. It's not something you must eat.
Yes.
Don't let anybody kid you.
Yeah.
Because more people worldwide are vegan and vegetarian. You're looking at literally most of Asia is vegetarian or vegan.
Yeah.
And you find the longest living communities in many of those, the Hunzas and Vilcabambans and Vilcabambans. There are people all around the world that live very long.
Yeah.
In fact, we know that the Blue Zone community, we're looking at Okinawa in Japan, we're looking at Costa Rica, we're looking at Loma Linda in Southern California, we're looking at Icarus in Greece, Emily Sardinia in Italy. They eat a mainly whole food plant-based diet with very little or no animal products. They have the longest living, healthiest people in the world. That means they have many people over the age of 100 whose bladder, bowels and brains are working perfectly.
Wow.
In fact, I was reading last night that 80% of the people in those communities between the ages of 65 and 100 are still sexually active.
Wow.
80%. And you look
crazy.
in Western communities, 40% of them, 50% of the men over the age of 40 suffer from erectile dysfunction.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's a big problem.
And that's what goes into our bodies.
Yep.
So, okay, and I watched, so David Attenborough is back on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen him. 93 years old. Absolutely amazing man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the documentary that's come out I think it's called Our Living World.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated. I started watching the other day. Our planet, a third of the human race is on the planet. The other 2/3 are the cattle and the animals we grow for eating.
Oh my word.
2/3 of the planet. So if you haven't seen it, go and find Sir David Attenborough's Netflix documentary. I think it's called Our Living World. And in the beginning, you're like, oh my gosh, we're consuming the whole earth. We're breaking down the forestry. But he comes with a very positive message. So there is always hope. There is always a way. And the other Netflix documentary that I really found interesting was The Game Changers.
Yes.
You've seen that? Okay, so The Game Changers on Netflix, also good. No one's trying to convert you to become a vegan, but it is about self-education to understand what your body thrives on and what it can handle.
If you don't eat meat for 1 day a week, like Meatless Mondays, you choose not to eat animal products on that day, you save enough water that's the equivalent of showering every day for a year, basically.
Wow.
Because that water is not used to produce that meat that you've stopped eating. So
isn't it over 80% of the water of the world goes to raising cattle?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The livestock, yes, absolutely.
The livestock. And so that's crazy to me.
It's completely crazy. I mean, there is a swing, but it needs to be quicker.
Yeah.
And by eating less animal products, you're having a more beneficial effect not only on your body but on your environment.
Yeah.
And you just find your body functions. Constipation goes when you take animal products out.
That's my life story. Yeah, it does.
Bowel problems stop. Weight, it's much easier to manage your weight.
Yeah.
No more when you take the dairy products out. No more cellulite. Cellulite just goes when you take the dairy out.
Yeah,
and the terrible thing about it is, because I know when I went to London some years back, Mark and I, the first time we were in the UK, I think it was about 15, 20 years ago, we decided that although we were vegetarian, we were basically vegan, we were going to eat proper English food. We wanted to eat real mac and cheese.
Right.
Real macaroni and cheese. And we wanted to eat black and greens organic ice cream. And our kids were with us. And it was organic and organic sugar in it. And it's organic ice cream. And so we ate something of that every single day for the period of 3 weeks. I came back, all my cellulite that I'd got rid of, back on my thighs. It was shocking. It took me like 3 months to get rid of the 3 weeks of eating dairy products. Just by stopping it, it just eventually went. But it was like, this is not fair. I only ate it for 3 weeks. Can't it go in 3 weeks? It didn't. It took 3 months.
3 months.
Yep.
And dairy and menopause is like, that's like, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. So you said parasites in meat, okay? So there's all kinds, I've got clients who are working on loving their bodies and dressing up regardless of their weight, but also are on hectic parasite cleanses.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us about that, and what is your recommendation?
Parasites can cause a lot of problems. They can cause digestive problems. They can affect your brain and central nervous system. They can affect just about your liver, your kidneys, just about every organ in your body, okay? And there's so many of them. There's hundreds of them. The best way to get rid of them are there things that you can eat on a regular basis that help to keep your body clear, and those are practical things like carrots. Lots of grated carrots and pumpkin seeds help to keep the body free of parasites, but doesn't get rid of all of them. It's just those kinds of things. Natural plant food does help with it, but there are specific herbs. God has made these amazing herbs that you can go and grow and pick yourself if you want to, or you can get them in a product called Para 90, and you take one capsule 3 times a day for a month, and it gets rid of the parasites. And if you're eating animal products and you're eating raw animal products like sushi, you need to do that 3 times a year. It's things like Cascada, Sagrada. It's there's a whole long list of them. There's like 15, 16 different herbs. There's shave grass, oat straw. There's all these different kinds of.
But the Para 90
Para 90 is a perfect combination of all the top herbs. And within a month, and you give children a smaller dose, but literally within a month, you clean your body from parasites. And all you do is introduce some natural bacterial friendly flora to recolonize your gut while you're on that, and honestly, it gets rid of the parasites, and I recommend you do that between 1 and 3 times a year.
Okay.
And you'll be free of parasites. Nothing more complicated. You don't have to shove anything up your butt. Don't have to do enemas. You've got to get rid. These herbs get into the bloodstream and kill the parasites in the brain, the parasites in the liver. They're not just in your digestive tract.
And it's gentle on your...
It's very gentle. Yeah. You get a bit of gas and wind and bloating. You may get a bit of an upset stomach on one of the days.
Right.
You have days where you feel insanely tired, like you can't think. And it's not a whole lot of days. With Mark and I remember it being one day, we just looked at each other and we were like, my brain's not working.
Right.
I feel like insanely tired. We looked at each other and we said, let's just go sit on the beach. And that's what we did. We just sat and we looked at the sea. We were too tired to even swim.
And that's listening to your body, like you're doing a parasite cleanse.
And the next day, the energy came back. And at the end of the month, I mean, it's something we do regularly. We've been doing it for 20 years now.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's really important that we talk about this for a minute. So supplements, and I want to ask you something else on that. I've never believed that we need to invest a lot of money or a lot of time taking a lot of supplements, because I just believe that God created the soil and water and air and food and fruit and veg and things that, if we're doing the basics, obviously we need to be eating the good stuff and the right stuff on a daily basis. Then we don't need to fortify it with anything. But I'm going to ask Marianne to explain to us why she takes a certain plant-based supplement, and it's completely plant-based. It's got no caffeine in it, which, by the way, is public enemy number 1 for energy, for menopause, for a bunch of stuff that I've learned from you. But I want to be clear around this. So I have been taking these plant-based supplements, only 2 of them, and if I need to do a parasite cleanse, which I do with my kids from time to time, then it's the Para 90. It is if you want more, and if you're going to get together with us in a focus group based on this video with something that Marianne is launching a little bit later on this year, then I'm going to give you an email address to send your name to, and we're going to give you the information that you need. Now I want to be clear on this. I have been using these supplements for probably 15 years, not long after I met you, and on and off for 15 years. I've tried other supplements that are sold as natural, that actually are loaded with caffeine, loaded with other things, loaded. And I've had really bad experiences. I just stick with what I know works. It helps me with my energy, with my clarity. It helps me with my dad. I grew up with spastic colon and having barium enemas and all kinds of horrendous things. Mm-hmm. And my mom just did the best that she could with what she knew, right?
Yeah.
But I am not in the healthcare business or the nutrition business. I don't sell supplements. So I want to be very clear on this. If we get together in this focus group, like lots of my friends and family have, and you decide to do what Marianne does, I'm just going to direct traffic there because that's what's worked for me. I am not going to support you, answer your questions. I'm not going to educate you or have webinars with you on these supplements. He'll be the guru. I'll be the traffic director to the guru. And I am doing what I believe is a responsible and essential thing, helping women to the golden standard of we are designed for plant-based. So if you decide to get into these supplements, I use them because they've worked for me for 15, 16 years and my husband and my kids. And there will be information that follows from there. It's just that simple. So on supplements, why do we take any of that at all? The barley life and the flax oils?
Well, firstly, let me explain why I don't recommend taking normal supplements like vitamin C or multivitamins or all the host of other vitamins that are out there.
Sulfur is the
B1,
latest
B2,
craze.
B3, sulfur, magnesium, iron supplements. Any supplement that contains minerals and vitamins in it has been processed in a laboratory, in a factory, basically. And what they've done is they've taken them and processed them. They usually go through a heating process. We can't use them efficiently in that form. Firstly, we never use one vitamin on its own. So we don't just use vitamin C on its own. It needs vitamin E with it. It needs calcium. It needs magnesium. It needs zinc. So they all interact and they use together. So then you'll say, well, I take a multivitamin. But the problem is that's been processed. And let me explain it to you like this. The nutrients in fresh fruit and vegetables and in freshly extracted juices is in a form that's attached to a carbon molecule. So we call that an organic structure, okay? So in that form, your body can use 100% of it. When you process it in a laboratory or a factory, that carbon molecule falls away and all you've got is the vitamin C and the vitamin A and the beta-carotene and the calcium, whatever it is, in these independent molecules not attached to the carbon molecule.
Okay.
In that form, you're lucky if you can use 4 to 10%. So what happens is it strains your kidneys, okay? The liver in certain instances has to process it out. So the safest supplement that you can take is vitamin C. And the side effects, and this is science, this is not me making this up, this is the scientists publishing this. The side effects of taking vitamin C in a supplement form is gout, arthritis, kidney stones, stomach ulcers, and osteoporosis. That's the safest supplement to take. So the only way you can supplement your diet if you feel you need extra nutrients is with juicing. And the juices you need to take are the green ones for the chlorophyll and the iron and the superoxide dismutase.
So specifically spinach, kale, is that what you're talking about?
Well, anything green will give you a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
The thing is that out of those, all the barley grass is the most nutritious. So it doesn't make sense for me to have spinach and kale and rocket or arugula and all these greens together when I know that the most nutritious on all the levels is barley grass juice grown organically.
Right.
So why go and mess with the others?
Okay.
And I eat the others, that's fine.
Yeah.
And there's no oxalic acid, which there is in spinach. So there's substances in some of the other food that can prevent you absorbing the nutrients. So we go with barley grass juice. Then I go for the barley grass juice that's grown in the best environment. They harvest it at night. They extract the juice in the harvesting machine. While it's cutting the barley grass, it's actually extracting the juice in the field and chilling it.
Right.
Nobody else does that.
Yeah.
That's why I only use barley life, because the nutrient content, it works. I don't know. There are a lot of barley products out there. It's not the juice. It's just cut the grass, they dry the grass and they grind it up and you're getting 98% fiber and 2% nutrients.
Okay.
I want 98% nutrients. That's what juice does for you.
Okay.
So
that's the barley life supplement that you take.
They do the carrot juice. You can do the fresh carrot juice. You can get the dried carrot juice. You can do
Get
the fresh
beets
juice
as well.
You can do the bites. So
My little girl has, in the morning she has, and she eats it, like this the green barley powder. Like for me, I'm like, oh. But because she's been having it since she was a baby. Yeah. I called Mark and Marianne. So Mark, Marianne's husband, actually answered the phone. We were living in the UK, and I had a teeny tiny little baby who was covered with eczema, just red, raw all over. And I called them, and they just helped us on the spot. And we got to the goat's milk, which she was on, adding a quarter of a teaspoon, I think it was, of the barley plant and some of the flaxseed oil, the omega, that went in there. And I'm trying
the carrots and the beets as well.
Not at that time, but a little bit later. And as a result, she's now almost 7 years old in a couple of months. Every single morning, she is the most vigilant in our entire family. She's like, where's my power powder? Because I've been calling it power powder because it's all about big power. Even my son is like, yeah, mama, whatever. But now he's on it because he got hay fever. He started taking the barley plant and flax, and he's like, this stuff works. And Paige has her just carrots, her ready beets and her
just
barley,
eats it.
and she just eats it like that. That's her breakfast. That's what she's
Yeah.
happy. Then she has a bit of fruit and she goes.
So what you're doing when you put it in water is you're reconstituting the juice. It's like powdered milk.
Yeah.
You just put the powder and you've got milk,
Yeah.
but it's not milk, and it's not going to make you sick and
Yeah.
makes you strong. So
Yeah.
I recommend taking freshly extracted barley grass juice, fresh carrot, fresh beets. You can add other juices in there, but those are the 3 core juices. And for
Right.
convenience, you get them in a dry
Yes.
powder, because I'm busy like you. I
Yeah.
can't stand growing, and I grow my own veggies, but I have to grow like 50 pounds or 20 odd kilograms of barley grass juice
Yeah.
every day just for us to actually make
And
our
who's
own
got
barley
time for
grass.
that? Exactly.
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
And cleaning a juice extractor is bad enough, but when the juice is beet juice,
Yeah.
it's hectic
It
cleaning
is.
it, because everything gets covered in
Right.
what looks like blood.
Right.
So those are the things that you take to boost your immune system naturally,
Okay.
to help your endocrine. Barley grass the Barley Life specifically contains a vitamin E succinate, which is a precursor to vitamin E that actually helps the pituitary gland work properly, which is the managing director or master controller of the endocrine
system.
hormonal system.
Right.
And that's why it's so essential when you're on menopause.
Yes.
If you're going through menopause, if you've got any hormonal issues, to take the Barley Life with the flax oil. So the flax oil, the one that I use, is the Omega, which is in the capsule,
Yeah.
and it's perfectly balanced with 3 other oils, sesame, sunflower, and olive oil, to make sure that it stabilizes that oil, and it's nitrogen flushed so that it can last on the shelf for 2 years, because flax oil goes off and rancid very, very quickly.
Okay.
So I take the Omega for that reason, and that's the basis of what I take. The Garden Trio and the Omega are things I never not take. I
Right.
take them every day, have taken them since 1999. It's part of the reason we haven't had a medical bill due to ill health
Yeah.
for 30 years,
Yeah.
and we've saved an enormous amount of time and money not going to the doctors.
Right.
And anybody can be like it. I mean, my health was just as much a mess as yours.
Yeah.
You've read my story in my
Yeah.
book, and the allergies and the hay fever and the ear infections,
Yeah.
tonsillitis, high blood pressure, the bipolar disorder, the spastic colons or IBS, all of that stuff. It's normal to be healthy, Linda.
Yes.
It's normal to be
Yeah, I
healthy,
love
and there
that.
are things that can help you.
Yeah.
If you can't get the barley grass juice where you are, grow your own and juice it, okay? Because those are the best things to take.
Yeah.
So,
And it's simple, right?
yeah,
What's
it's
really,
simple.
I like what you did. That's really powerful. It's normal to be healthy. We live in a world that is, backed by big industries that says, we have to take something to solve a problem. We've got to take another supplement or some kind of lotion or potion to get rid of. It's like, no, it's like, obviously what we put in comes out. But the good news is it's simple. I think there are companies out there that if it's confusing, there's something wrong with it. I
Absolutely.
take that approach
and if it's
to
a secret
everything.
formula,
Yes.
it's not nothing healthy should be a secret.
Yes, nothing
Because
good
God
should
is-
be in the dark.
No.
I agree with that.
God is not
And
cruel.
I agree. Yes,
God is not that
absolutely.
cruel that he'd only make health available to wealthy people.
I love that.
Never.
Okay, that is the crux of this whole thing, is that if I can't understand it, and if it's not simple, then something's up. And if it's secret and it's in the dark, what's up? Because God did
It's
make
about
it to
money.
be exactly.
It's about money.
It must be simple to understand and easy to apply, and it should not break the bank. It's that simple.
Absolutely.
And okay, that's great. So let's go there to that's awesome, to menopause. Okay, I have a growing number of amazing clients that I'm working with, and also some friends who. Man, so mine kind of hit a year ago, 2019. I started getting a couple of symptoms. I'm like, no. So now I'm 48, and then a few months ago, earlier this year, I remember you saying, I think it was last year, you just said, it can make a woman crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it's not that bad. Like, I still thought, okay. I was still challenging the expert, going like, yeah, well, anyway, it hit. You can ask any one of my members of my family. Someone kidnapped my body, replaced it with a crazy person who started throwing things. Like I would get upset like that. I threw a coffee mug once. All within the same few weeks, I threw over a chair, and like an idiot, I had a fight with my husband, and I threw my cell phone, which is something I would never do. I would never. So this has happened to you, and you feel like maybe, and we were lucky. Okay, we don't just get menopause, we get perimenopause, premenopause, menopause. I get there's some post stages. Okay, yay, there's 4. But the thing is to embrace it, roll with it, and you're going to learn some stuff now. But so that happened. I went through a couple of months of intense, and I decided I need to really educate myself. So I go to the gold standard on what this is, because Marianne specializes in this with women all over the world. You need to know that she has men and women and children and kids all over the world who have not just been, whose lives have been changed, but been saved from heart disease, diabetes, cancer, the common cold, ear, nose, throat, and like all kinds of things based on the natural way, which has been around for 30 plus years, right? It's the foundational golden biblical standard to how we're designed to live. So on the menopause thing, I just dove straight back into the natural way, and I did a bit of research on, and so I've upped my barley and my omega. Yep. And there's one other thing that I do from time to time. Composure helps.
Yes, composure
it's
helps.
Also plant-based, and it just brings composure. It just relaxes all the crazy people on the inside of your body. It just calms you. Completely natural. And then the other thing I do is I have a friend who is in essential oils, and there's 2 oils, and we'll talk about that another time, that I take that really have helped me. And I don't even use it every day, but upping my barley and stuff has really helped. Yeah. So on the menopause, and I know you might feel like there's not much hope, and you might even be on HRT, on hormone therapy, which a couple of my friends are. I would love for you to just talk to the women about, and if there's any men married to these women, what to do, how to handle it, what's your advice?
Yeah. I always laugh about the name menopause.
Yes.
Women say, I'm pausing from men, and it's a weird thing. Like their libido goes, and they don't want anything to do with intimacy, and the husband's like left floundering, she doesn't love me anymore, and some men leave with a younger version of their wife.
That's right.
It's very sad.
We say in our house, we go, men, pause. Here she comes. So my son loves that one, but it's better now.
So menopause is a natural process that women go through. It's very natural. It's become unnatural. So much like childbirth has become unnatural. It's childbirth's become a disease. We go to hospital for it, whereas we used to have our babies at home. And thank God for medical intervention, because in some instances the babies might be lost. So if you can find that balance, it's good. With menopause, a healthy woman goes through menopause with no symptoms whatsoever, Linda. She just stops menstruating. That's it. And I'll never forget this woman, whose name was Mary Ann as well. Must have been 20 odd years ago, possibly even longer, maybe 25 years. She phoned me. There were no emails in those days. She phoned me and she said to me, Mary Ann, I've got to tell you my story. I stopped menstruating at 52, and I thought, well, this is odd. Let me go and see the doctor. And she went to the doctor, and she said, I just wanted to check with you, I've stopped menstruating. Is this what menopause is? So he said, well, do you have hot flushes? She said, no. Have you gained any weight? She said, no. Do you not unable to sleep at night? She said, no. Do you feel like you're losing your mind? She said, no. He said, then there's got to be something wrong with you.
Wow, yeah.
He thought that there was something wrong with her, because every woman he'd ever dealt with had all those symptoms, one or all of them. So she phoned me and she said, is there something wrong with me? And I said, no. Based on your healthy lifestyle, which you've been living now for several years, I've been working with her, you've simply gone through the menopause in a healthy way. It's the same thing when you start menstruating as a young woman. You shouldn't have pain and discomfort. You shouldn't feel like you're bleeding to death. A healthy woman has no pain with a period. Her period lasts 2 days, not 7 like mine did. And I used to feel like I was dying and bleeding and everything, and have to get up from a chair like this. I'd have to look and see if there was a stain on the couch.
Dealing with the crime scene.
Dealing with the crime scene when you woke up in the morning. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so a healthy woman simply goes through these processes of reproduction.
That's fascinating.
Completely naturally and normally. We don't live in a natural and normal world. Firstly, people that are completely plant-based and eat a lot of high raw foods. 80% of your diet's raw, contains lots of vitamin C. Vitamin C helps blood clot. It helps with healing. The nutrients you're taking in are alkaline forming. Alkaline forming nutrients actually calm the body down. You spoke about composure. It's a combination of plants and herbs that you take. It just calms the body down. There are natural plants and leaves out there that will just help your body heal itself.
Right.
So it's very important for us to understand that your body is designed to heal itself, to repair itself. You've got to give it what it needs. But it's not just your diet. It's not just your diet. Your diet will make a big difference, but if you're not getting regular daily exercise outdoors in natural light, you could still have problems with menopause. Okay. And that's a lot of women as they get older. They're like, oh, well, I'm married and I've had my kids and my belly's a bit flabby, but that's not really a big deal. I go to gym every now and again. So we go to do the indoor gym because it's clean and tidy, and we stay out of the natural light. If you don't get natural light with no lenses over your eyes for at least 20 to 30 minutes a day, your pineal gland can't regulate melatonin and serotonin. So if you don't suppress the melatonin from having natural light around your eyes, not looking at the sun, just being outside in natural light, you will not produce enough at night. And then if you don't produce enough at night, you're wide awake at night and you're exhausted during the day. And the thing to correct that, you're actually walking around suffering from a form of jet lag. That's basically what jet lag feels like. So even when you travel long distances, you get straight outside in the natural light. It regulates your body clock, and that's melatonin and serotonin. Melatonin helps you sleep at night. Serotonin makes you happy. If you're not getting natural light, you're going to be depressed, which is common with menopause. You're not going to sleep at night. So you've got to spend at least 30 minutes outdoors. I would say as an older woman, aim for an hour or two.
Right.
Do gardening, go for long walks. Sit outside at a table and do your work. You can put your laptop outside. I do it. I'll sit outside. I'll sit with an open window in winter.
Yeah.
UV rays don't come through the glass, and lenses over your eyes are designed to block UV rays. So you've got to have that natural light coming into your body. Not directly into your eyes. It bounces off things and walls and comes in at right angles. It can't bend. UV rays can't bend around the lens and get into your eyes. Gets into the pupil of your eye, triggers the pineal gland, regulates the melatonin, serotonin. You're happy during the day, you sleep well at night. And that is a big factor in menopause.
Okay.
The other one is exercise, and it makes sense to exercise outdoors. Otherwise, you're exercising indoors, and then you've still got to spend an hour or two outside. So if you exercise outdoors, one of the best things you can do when you're going through menopause is take your family, but take your husband if you have one. If you want to hold on to him, take him for a walk. It's the most wonderful time of the day to download. You walk in the morning, you leave your cell phones at home, you're connecting. What are we doing for the day? Where are we going? What are the arrangements? Because when you've been married a long time, you miss each other. You stop communicating efficiently, and you're just not, I thought I told you about this. No, you didn't. Because you're just not talking. It's hard by, but the walk is
So you and Mark go walking every morning,
Every morning and every evening. In the mornings, we walk around the back of our property and go up at the bottom of the mountain there. It's a good half an hour walk. We'd like to do longer, but that's what we manage in the morning. Right. And in the evenings, we take a drive down to the beach. It's just a couple of miles down the beach. And we go for a walk on the beach. And that very often can end up being a 2-hour walk if we've got the time, or at least a good 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So we do that every single day, twice a day. Come rain or shine. I go for walks. Marcus said to me, "You're crazy." If the wind is blowing, I'll go for a walk. If it's raining, I'll put my gumboots on. I'll take my umbrella. I'll go for a walk. Exercise regulates. Linda, listen to this very carefully.
Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda. Listen,
I've heard that for a while.
Listen, all the Lindas out there. Exercise regulates 16 to 18 different hormones, but you need to exercise for a minimum of 20 minutes a day. Okay. And if you're not exercising, you're going to battle through menopause. You're still going to have some mild symptoms. They'll be there, not as bad as if your diet was bad, but they're going to be there. You have to exercise. You have to get natural light. And I would say once you're heading towards menopause, no dairy products or gluten. Big factors.
Gluten as well.
And dairy. I can have gluten now. 20 minutes later, I have a hot flush. I can just create it. So gluten is in wheat or wheat products. That's cakes and breads, even whole wheat. I was eating whole wheat organic bread. It still created a hot flush.
Right.
No
and
gluten.
You can feel it.
I can feel it 20 minutes. If I ate some organic cheese, 20 minutes later, I'd have a hot flush. I'd want to take all my clothes off.
And those are no joke.
Starting to open all the windows. I'm like, I can't breathe. Yeah. No, they're not a joke. And then I'd have the sessions where you wake up at 2 a.m. and you're wide awake and your brain's racing. Composure does help there because it calms your brain down. But it doesn't help when you're having dairy and gluten in the diet.
Dairy is a big one. I can attest to that. And when you told me that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to track that because I want to make sure I don't do that. And so when I did dairy, especially cheese, and I had a little bit of yogurt. I haven't touched yogurt for years because I love it, so I don't touch it. I'll have tubs like this easy.
Yep.
But cheese, man, I tell you, like that. I call them power surges because I'm like, hot flash is not sexy. I'm not going to have hot flashes. But it's called a power surge.
But the problem that comes
with gosh. The night sweats.
Yeah.
I started when I got back on dairy. The night sweats that came, it would be like I just got out of a swimming pool. I would just be wet here on my chest, right? Just in the 2 o'clock in the morning, wake up. And then my husband, who normally likes an air-conditioned cold room, it was winter then when I started going through more symptoms, and I'd be like, he would want the heater. I'm like, blankets off and put the aircon on. I need a fan. He's like, I think you're going through. I'm like, don't even say it. I'm not even going to agree with that. And but I cut out the dairy. I cut out caffeine, and
caffeine's
gluten.
another one as well.
Those are the triggers.
Caffeine comes in and hammers your adrenal glands, and
Yeah.
your adrenal glands, and this is a very interesting thing here, because so often I heard a woman the other day saying, "Oh, I don't have any hormones anymore." And I was like, "What? If you didn't have any hormones anymore, you'd be dead. Your hormones would make your heart beat, would
Yeah.
make your liver function, that would make your brain work." But we've been so convinced that hormones are just about your ovaries, and if your ovaries are removed, you don't have hormones. Your adrenal glands produce all the hormones your ovaries or
Yeah.
even the testes in men will produce. They produce, you can't have a baby from them, but they produce the same hormones: progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone.
Right.
And caffeine hammers those adrenal glands. It whips them. It just whips them, whips them, whips them, whips them, whips them. And after years of whipping your adrenal glands, you start going through menopause, and the adrenal glands are all shriveled up, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Help, we're not working properly." And then you want to drink more caffeine to keep going. It's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You've got to get the caffeine out. You get natural fats, you get those omegas, and you get the barley life, and you get the raw fruit and vegetables in, and those adrenal glands start working, and it's so wonderful to see. The allergies go. You start finding you've got this supercharged power, like super strength. You can work long and hard for hours on end, and you're focused. And
Yeah.
all of those things go when the hormones are out of balance. Your hormones don't go away, Linda. They go out of balance.
Right.
So to get them back in balance, you need to get the adrenal glands working properly. That's a natural diet. That's your exercise, your sunlight, your natural fats,
Your
your body
rest.
life, your rest. Yes, listening to your body. One of the things I teach people to do is to listen to their bodies. Craving salty things, you're usually lacking essential fats. You're craving sweet things, you're usually lacking natural fresh fruit. Your body's needing more nutrients from fruit. And we need the glucose for our brain and central nervous system to function properly. And the brain and central nervous system are connected in the brain like this to the hormonal system. This is the pituitary gland. This is the hypothalamus. It's wrapped around here. That feeds into the central nervous system in the brain. This feeds into the hormonal system. So anything that stresses your central nervous system and brain is going to affect your hormones.
Right.
Anything affecting your hormones is going to affect your central nervous
Right.
system and brain. And that's why emotions and irritability and anger, all of that stuff's linked to hormones, because it's the neuroendocrine connection. So when you start eating and living in a healthy way and dealing with all this stuff, and essential oils can help as well,
Yeah.
because they help to relax you. And that makes a big difference, and they help when you relax, your adrenal glands recover better. And when that happens, the hormonal system, the body starts to repair itself. And that's really what I teach people, is how to work with your body so that your body works properly.
Right.
And that's listening to your body, getting your body to a place where it's working optimally so it can fix all these problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's restless legs or menopause or eye twitches or constipation or lack of energy, lack of libido. We didn't even talk about that.
No, we haven't.
The libido goes with menopause. The vagina dries
Oh,
up.
thank the Lord, mine
Yeah.
hasn't gone, and it's
Yeah.
not going to either.
Yeah. And then you get the dry vagina syndrome. So
Yeah,
even if you
I've heard
have
about
one,
that.
it's terrible. Women bleed because it's so dry
Oh
down
my
there.
gosh.
So when you start getting the natural fats in and you start eating properly and living
Okay.
properly, then all of that starts to
Then
work.
we don't need the lubricants.
No, the
and
juices start flowing
Right.
and everything works properly.
So let's
Yes.
go there, because sex is really important. By the way, if you know me and you work with me, or we do life together, I was a woman who went from frigid to frisky. I have a coach and mentor by the name of Danny Johnson, who helped me overcome some serious things that happened to me as a young woman and as a child, and because that's what produced just fear and shame in my life. And anyway, we talk about that in the power of personal style, because beauty and courage and confidence and sensuality runs deep. It's just not an external conversation. But so I was healed from stuff in that. You have got to invest the time in grief recovery and overcoming that stuff. And there's only one way, as far as I'm concerned, and that's with God, the man who created us, who designed us to heal inside and out, emotionally and in every way. But I only just recently, a few years ago, discovered amazing sex with my husband, so there's no way I'm going to allow dry vagina or anything else into my life. So what about that? What about women who suffer with that?
Well, it's one of the side effects of menopause, when your body's out of balance.
Right.
And it's not something that you're going to think, oh, this is the end of my sex life. When you get your body back into balance with exercise and natural light and a healthy diet, all of that corrects itself. All your vagina lubricates itself naturally. The juices flow,
Yeah.
the libido comes back, and you can have this wonderful intimacy in your relationship.
Yeah.
You don't. It's not something you need to lose, and you shouldn't. And in fact, it's an exciting time of your life because you've stopped menstruating.
Well, there's
so
no more
nothing-
periods to deal with.
Exactly.
Right.
And at that stage, most women's kids, I know you had kids when you were quite a bit younger,
Yeah.
but most people's children are grown up and they've gone left for college or university, or they're working. So it's a time of life when things are almost back to the honeymoon phase.
Right.
And
You have the house to yourself.
But you've got like 30 or 40 years of technique and experience now, so it's
Yes.
better than it's ever been, and it should be. And it's so sad that women have got all these years of connecting with somebody at such an intimate level, and now it's either gone because of menopause or because you didn't look after yourself
Yeah.
in so many areas. He's gone because he's feeling fat and frumpy and old, and he thinks a young woman's going to make him feel young again.
Right.
But when the wife is fit and healthy, then your husband always feels fit and healthy and young. He doesn't
Right.
need to go off with the younger version.
And
of
that's
you.
happening so much,
I know,
right?
it's so sad.
Marriages
So
of 31, 35, 37 years
That's
are
so
breaking
sad.
down, and the husband is off with another woman. It's
And-
not just the husband, I'm just saying, but typically.
It's the typical story
Yeah.
that you hear where the husband's left because he needs time. And then I heard of somebody the other day who's needed time and he left, and at the same time the girlfriend of the son broke up with him and rented a room from the husband in his new apartment. And it's like the wife was, do you think we're stupid? Because
Wow.
I mean, it's happening to the best of people. It's
Yeah.
happening to people that are pastors. It's happening to people in churches. It's happening to people because it's just, we're unaware of the fact that we need to take responsibility for our bodies. We
Yeah.
kind of leave it up to somebody else, the doctor or the supplement seller at the local health store or the magazines. We don't get to understand our body. That's my mission, is to teach people how their bodies work, so that they understand why they're doing things, why you need sunlight. I could just say to you, you need sunlight, exercise, this, that, and the next thing, go and do it. But if you know why you're doing it, then you'll
be motivated to go and do it.
To continue doing it as
Yeah.
well. You're not going to just give up and say, oh, well, maybe it's just her story. But if I explain it's the pineal gland and it's the serotonin and the melatonin and all the stuff working together, then you start to actually realize this is my vehicle.
Yeah.
I have to look after this thing inside and outside.
That's really key, because what Marianne does is what I like to do as well, is remove the dependency that women or that people have on the guru or the government or the expert. Or so, as expert and specialist as she is she teaches why. It's not the what or the how, but also the why, because that will bring the motivation and the commitment to follow through. Then you're empowered, and then you're equipped with how and what and why and when, and then you become your own educator, and you raise your kids to be the same as what we do with to get up, dress up, and be a bold light on a hill. Is I don't want my clients to be dependent on me or fashion magazines or the fashion industry, because these are all just opinions and perspectives, and there's a lot of expertise there, but you need to understand why. Why do I need to dress well? Why do I need to have a strong body? And apart from the fact that we know our bodies are holy temples and our bodies are not our own, and we're supposed to do, the best with what we've been given as a gift to live out our lives, but all of that which is on the inside. So, you can be healthy on the inside, you can be a good person, you can be all these amazing things, you can have high value. But if you dress down and you slop around in your tacky-tracky and your old college t-shirt, and people don't see your value first. What they perceive is the outside, and it looks sloppy, and it looks like so there's a why must we do that? And beauty is an inside job, and it does start on the inside. But this is the call, is for you and for me to learn and educate ourselves, invest the time, the money, and the effort to live our very best life. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You might be on HRT, getting divorced with 3 kids, and you might be 53 years old. Life is not over. You could live the rest of your life as the best of your life if you just make the decision to understand how to take care of your body from the inside out, how to present yourself from the inside out, and you will attract the right people, new opportunities, because what you eat and what you wear can change your life. It can completely change your life.
And Linda, basically we're doing very similar things.
Yeah.
We're both giving people the tools to take responsibility, so they're not dependent on other people, not dependent on a man to make them happy, not dependent on the doctor to make them healthy, not dependent on the government, the system, or anything else. This is my body. I'm giving you the tools, so you don't have to run around and waste time and money on anything else ever again.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of time you gain when you're healthy, and when you're not standing in front of your wardrobe thinking, I've got a cupboard full of clothes and nothing to wear.
Nothing to wear.
Yeah.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're saving them this enormous amount of time. And if there are two things that stop people from getting healthy, they always tell me the same things. I don't have time. And I don't have money.
Yep.
That's the reason I don't exercise. I don't have time, or I don't have money.
Yep.
And you can be healthy, you can be fit, you can dress properly. And what happens is you gain the time and money because you're saving all this money, not wasting it on buying more clothes because you can't find anything to wear.
Right.
You're wasting all this time and money going and looking for a cure for your disease or your condition, when your body is capable, fully capable, perfectly designed to completely repair and heal itself.
Exactly.
So
spot on.
Really, between the two of us, we could save the whole world, Linda.
We're on a mission, and I'm going to tell you about that now. That's awesome. I love that. And there's something really important that I want to mention that you might relate with here. So what Marianne is saying is what we do in the Power of Personal Style as well is it's really important that you get this. If you want to learn to go and play the piano or the guitar or the drums, right? You're not going to, if you're a novice, you're not going to rush out and go and buy a grand baby piano and go and hit that thing, and you're going to go for lessons. You're going to go and learn how, right? Or if you want to learn how to play golf, you're not going to go to the pro shop and get kitted out and go and start hacking things out on the green. You're just not going to do that. You're going to go to a golf pro. You're going to learn how. And it's all about having a recipe and a blueprint, which Marianne has with the Natural Way, which I have with the Power of Personal Style, because these are gifts from heaven above that give us everything that we need to, as women, be those bold, beautiful, confident, not arrogant, because a lot of women are concerned. No, but I don't want to come across as arrogance. Arrogance is a condition of the heart. It has nothing to do with self-confidence. The word confidence is rooted in the Latin word fidere, which means trust. So if you have self-trust, do you trust yourself that if I gave you a recipe for a chocolate cake or a vanilla, I don't know,
a healthy carrot cake.
A healthy carrot cake. Look at me, silly me. A healthy carrot cake. Faux pas on the couch here. Then do you trust yourself that if Marianne gave you those ingredients and gave you that recipe, could you follow that recipe? Of course you could. You could bake that beautiful and eat that carrot cake, right? Just so that is what it is. It's a recipe. It's a blueprint. It saves you time. It saves you money. Like the Power of Personal Style. It's just stop going shopping. My clients that I work with, I'm not allowed to go shopping for 3 months. It's between 2 and 3 months. A, there's a way to shop your closet. You have the stuff that you're looking for actually. B, there's a way to identify what to find, at what price, where to find it, online, in-store, all those things. There is a recipe. It's 3 steps. We systemize, we simplify, we systemize, and we scale, which means you can get up, dress up, repeat. Same as with your body. You can get
I'm going to steal that.
Use it. Go for it. Get up, dress up, repeat. Get up, eat fresh, repeat, whatever it is. But I want to, we're going to end with this, and I want to tell you something. Doesn't matter what your age is. Doesn't matter if you're on HRT, ABC, XYZ, whatever it is. You can change your life going forward. You can write your own story. We are the only creation, we're the only species on the planet who is able to create our own future. Think about that for a minute. It's very powerful. What a gift. Like, I can change my life if I decide to. And it's going to require time and money and the effort to educate myself. But I can do it. If I want to go and be a pilot, I can change my future. It's powerful. But this is where it comes in. This is really important with women, okay? We did a survey in February this year, in 2020, where I asked the women, what is their number one frustration or the ongoing challenge, the thing that causes anxiety for them? And they said, apart from 140 women, there's about 137 out of 140 who said, apart from the occasional, finances and marital challenges or whatever, they said that they fear rejection and criticism and slander and gossip and judgment by other women. Now, we all have hurt and being hurt by others. Life happens. I believe we're born good. We are born loving. We are born sincere. Life happens. Personalities develop. We get influenced by our environment. Everyone has hurt, and hurt people hurt people. And it's for us to learn the power of forgiveness and humility, and to get over that, and to make sure that we're part of the solution and not part of the problem. Because if you get a healthy, beautiful body that dresses well, and a woman walks into, let's say she's at the school gate, and someone told me this just recently, just yesterday, that she had a mom who came to, it was actually the bus stop, it was in the US, and she was beautifully dressed, like far more beautifully dressed than the rest of the moms. And they said, hello, how are you? And then as she walked away, she said, Linda, I don't know how to deal with this. And we have scripts for this. And as she walked away, the other woman said, who does she think she is? She's better than us? So there's this envy, but actually it's wrapped in hurt. Actually, that's not the heart. So if you're a woman who looks after yourself and takes care of your body and you dress up and you get those comments, we've got a script for that. There's a moment of power where you can respond. You have to learn to look past the heart, and you have to look past the hurt, to the heart. But here's the point I wanted to make. Marianne is a powerhouse, okay? This is a woman with expertise that is of a global golden standard. She has a very strong personality. I, too, if anyone knows me, have a very strong personality. And we've kind of been in touch over the years. We've been in a different country. Recently, when we came back, it was a year or two ago, 2019, and we met again, and we were just like long lost friends, and we had this real connection. But two strong personalities collided. And I want to tell you something, that there was a challenge between us to work past that. And I am very grateful and very proud of our friendship, actually, because we chose humility. We chose to rise up above our opinions and our perspectives. And we saw that we are two women actually just getting up, eating fresh, and dressing up and doing our best in life and actually making a difference in the world, because we're on a mission. We have a vision, we have principles. But as women, we have to choose to fight for unity at every point. It doesn't mean we're not going to get hurt. It doesn't mean we won't hurt unintentionally, because it happens.
It does.
But the best friendships, the best relationships are those that don't just cut off and decide, well, that because the hard work, when you get to that and you invest the hard work, I've got to tell you, I'm really grateful for this woman and for the way that our friendship actually went through a knock, and we overcame that. And there is more trust between us. I don't know if you know what you think, but
yeah, absolutely.
And there is more love between us, and there is just, we're on a different, higher level. And as women, we have to do that. We must be for each other. I say every day is Tuesday. I choose to believe something about my friend or about this professional woman who's changing lives all over the world, or I choose to believe something different. But when we choose to give each other the benefit of the doubt and to listen and say, okay, tell me what you meant, and here's my perspective, and what do we choose together at the end, is to prioritize the friendship and the relationship, because there is beauty and power there. We have been given a spirit of power and a spirit of beauty that when we work hard to keep that united, it's unstoppable. We can take on the world.
Yeah.
We can change the world. And we are supposed to get up, dress up, be a bold light on a hill, and not just quote scriptures about shining bright, but about actually being the light.
Yeah.
And what that looks like is sometimes humble yourself, eat some humble pie, and get over yourself, Linda, and put your ego and your opinion aside and focus on what's the right thing here. And we're all required to do that every day. So I want to wrap up here and say thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for continuing to do what you do, to change and save people's lives. You have, just as recently as a couple of months ago, identified in 3 seconds what was called molluscum contagiosum, a rash my little girl had for 14 months on her tummy that really was, I went everywhere. I don't know why I didn't come to you long ago, but I had tried everything, and I sent Marianne a picture, and she was like, oh, that's contagious, molluscum contagiosum. I'm like, shimmer, what is them? And she said, it's 2 things. It's caused by gluten and not enough essential oils. Took away the gluten. My little girl is 6. Added up to her essential oils, her Amiga, and 9 days, 10 days, gone after 14 months. And I'm someone who's anti, chemicals and parabens and stuff, and I try different things. And prayer time and going,
It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time. And I even consulted with a dermatologist, and she was lovely, but she gave us stuff that was loaded with. So out of desperation, I used it. And I think it softened the skin a little bit. Of course, it's got all that stuff in there, but it didn't go away. And then that's when I messaged you. I'm like, okay.
Which brings us down to the fact that the body heals itself
Yes,
if you let it.
exactly.
That's really what this is all about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so we're wrapping up. If you are impacted, interested, or in need of more information on Perfect Health the Natural Way, and how to get up, dress up, and be a bold light on a hill, and be the woman that you know that you're called to be, then I'm going to give you an email address. But that's my beautiful assistant, Karla, Carla@lindapage.com, LINDAPAIGE.com. You're going to email her and you're going to say, more info please on Linda and Marianne, okay? More info please on Linda and Marianne, or send your question or send your comment, whatever it is. We're going to be getting a little focus group together soon. Marianne has a world-changing, record-breaking program coming out soon called Perfect Health the Natural Way. I'm not going to tell you about it. There's all kinds of exciting messaging coming about that soon. The launch is coming up. Okay, we are now in October 2020. Perfect Health the Natural Way. Every single thing you need to know about your body and about how it heals itself, and how you do not need to be spending time and money and all of that confused state of mind on chemicals and lotions and potions. Learning about the body. That's coming up. If you want to know more about what's coming up and how to plug into Marianne's 30-day detox or all kinds of other things that she's got going on, she has a free newsletter that sends out the most incredibly valuable content on daily, weekly?
It's bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, so a couple of times a week. This stuff is gold. It's absolute gold, and it doesn't cost you anything. Those emails are phenomenal. So Karla@lindapage.com, and just ask for more info on Linda and Marianne, and we'll let you know what's happening later. The launch will come out soon. But until then, stay plugged in with us on Facebook. Our group is Dress to Connect. If you're not there already, you need to head on over. It's our free group where we talk about all things foundations of fashion and beauty and confidence and all things personal style. And then Marianne is there as well, and from there we'll go over to Perfect Health the Natural Way. Thanks for watching. Good job for investing the time and educating yourself. We'll see you on the other side.